Today in Chicago, a scorching heat wave leaves a tragic mark on the city. I'm Leah.
And I'm Garrett. Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett in Chicago. First up, Cook County is facing its deadliest July in over a decade, with 6 heat-related deaths confirmed. The Cook County Medical Examiner says a series of heat waves pushed the heat index past 100 degrees. Quick refresher. The heat index is how hot it feels when you combine temperature with humidity. Most of the people who died were under 60 and had underlying health conditions that worsened in the extreme heat. We had back-to-back scorchers from June 30th through July 2nd, with air temperatures in the upper 90s, and during that stretch, Victor Ferguson died of heat stroke on July 2nd, and a week later, on July 9th, Stephanie Rodriguez died from heat-related complications. Experts keep stressing this is preventable and that better access to cooling resources is essential. Big picture, heat kills more people nationwide each year than any other weather-related disaster. Advocates say heat deaths are often misclassified, so the true toll may be higher. There are also gaps in the city's cooling network on weekends and holidays, which is, not what you want during a heat emergency.
This really hits hard. These are preventable deaths, and that's the part I can't shake. Why are we still losing people when we know heat is deadly and predictable each summer?
Short answer, access. People need air conditioning, transportation to cooling centers, consistent hours when it's hottest, and neighbors checking on neighbors. The system just has weak spots, weekends, holidays, after hours.
Real talk. If the city and community groups can expand cooling center hours and make it easier to get there when it's brutally hot, that saves lives. Even simple steps like wellness calls in apartment buildings could make a difference. Let's not let this one slide by. Next up, a Chicago public schools custodian was detained by ICE, and the community is rallying around his family. Josue Pira Hidalgo, who has worked as a CPS custodian since July 2025, was detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, during a scheduled check-in on July 17. He and his family came from Venezuela in 2022 and applied for asylum, which is a legal request for protection from persecution. Supporters say he was working legally here and has no criminal record. His detention is part of stepped-up enforcement in the Midwest. Neighbors and local unions are stepping in with financial and emotional support. The case also highlights what advocates call a shift in ICE tactics, moving away from big workplace raids and focusing on people during routine appointments. Why target a check-in, though? That feels honestly confusing and harsh to a lot of folks.
Yeah, that's a tough one. From what we're hearing, the agency sees check-ins as controlled settings. No chaos, no chases, just a predictable time and place. It's efficient for enforcement, but it shocks families who expect those appointments to be about paperwork and compliance. I'm glad to see the community jump in for support, but the tactic raises fair questions about trust and transparency. All right, let's roll on. Gambling establishments in Burbank, New Lenox, and Palos Hills got hit by a series of burglaries. Police reports say masked crews used sledgehammers and pry bars to smash open video gaming machines and rip out the cash boxes. There was a reckless discharge of a firearm in Burbank on July 5th and gambling burglaries on July 7th. By July 11th, Lockport Township saw an aggravated battery arrest, and in New Lenox, a getaway car was abandoned on the highway after a crash. The pattern points to organized crews targeting soft targets that close late, have machines near entrances, or thin overnight staffing.
That's a lot in a short span. I'm with every owner and worker who's on edge right now. This is classic smash and grab, which just means fast forced entry and a rapid exit. More patrols would help, and community vigilance matters too. If you see late-night suspicious casing, like people checking doors or peeking at cameras, call it in. Also, businesses can tighten up with brighter exterior lighting and locking down machine cash boxes. All right, on to the next. A 15-month investigation uncovered a prostitution ring operating across several Chicago suburbs, and 6 men are now charged. The Kane County State's Attorney's Office Human Exploitation Unit led the effort with multiple agencies across Aurora, West Dundee, Rockford, and South Elgin. Charges include promoting prostitution, some of it near schools, and forgery tied to false leases. Arrests were coordinated on July 16th. By human trafficking, we mean the exploitation of people through force, fraud, or coercion, and prosecutors are focused on promoters and facilitators while connecting victims to services.
I'm down for that level of teamwork. Cross-jurisdiction work matters because these networks don't stop at city lines. It's encouraging to see investigators following the paper trail, like forged leases, and moving to protect people being exploited. Vigilance can't let up, and support for survivors has to be more than a handoff. Safe housing, legal help, counseling, the whole suite. Last up, the Gary Common Council just passed a green steel resolution urging U.S. Steel to modernize at the Gary Works plant. The resolution pushes for technologies like direct reduction and electric arc furnaces. Quick definitions. Direct reduction turns iron ore into sponge iron using a cleaner fuel like natural gas, cutting a lot of emissions. Electric arc furnaces then melt that iron and recycled scrap using electricity instead of burning coke, which is coal-based. The goals are cleaner air, modern equipment, and protecting union jobs. U.S. Steel responded that a transition at this scale is complex, would likely require a new facility, and could reduce jobs in the near term.
I'm strongly in favor of the push. Cleaner steel is healthier for workers and for the region. And if you're wondering why this matters for people in Chicago, air and water do not respect state lines. Community-driven pressure is how these big shifts start. Even if it takes years to land the tech and the funding, setting the direction now is key.
Thanks for tuning in to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett in Chicago. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.